want to make it known that we shall carry on our protest in our prison cells. We appeal to the government to yield, not to the violence of our protest, but to the reasonableness of our demand, and to grant the vote to the duly qualified women of the country.
The undersigned were members of the Women's Social and Political Union, arrested for property destruction in Newcastle, which was encouraged by WSPU leadership. Militancy, coupled with a willingness to sacrifice personal freedom for their beliefs, were hallmarks of the WSPU. But prison did not mean surrender. Instead, suffragettes found new ways to protest. One of the women in the letter we heard an excerpt from was Kitty Marion. The German-born actress immigrated to the United Kingdom at age 15 and later became involved with the WSPU, seeing voting rights as universally relevant to women regardless of their nationality. Her first stay in prison came after smashing a window at a Newcastle post office. A rebellious personality, Kitty protested every part of her sentencing. Her first act was to barricade herself inside her cell.
I would not move until we had the vote. The government rushed other bills through the House when it suited them. Let them rush a bill to enfranchise women.
The prison wardens forcibly removed Kitty and sent her to a different wing, where doors presumably opened outwards. Later that week, Kitty set her prison cell on fire using her mattress stuffing, pages from the Bible, and a lamp. Though she did not succeed in burning down the prison, she showed her wardens and fellow inmates her dedication to the cause of women's enfranchisement. As suffragettes found creative ways to protest behind bars, their fellow activists showed solidarity by holding vigil outside prisons, singing songs for the inmates to hear, and being present when a suffragette was released. Perhaps the most well-known form of protest the suffragettes employed was the hunger strike. This common protest tactic, refusing food and threatening starvation, has been a popular form of civil disobedience throughout history. The point of a hunger strike is to demonstrate commitment to the cause, evoke feelings of guilt in oppressors, and, in the event of death by starvation, become martyrs. Countless suffragettes went on hunger strike while in prison, so much so that the image of the starving suffragette became a common reference in pop culture. To go on hunger strike is a mentally and physically draining act that militants did not take lightly. Fearing the effect that a martyr could have on the suffrage movement, the British government encouraged force-feeding in prison. Liquid concoctions consisting of milk and eggs were poured into a funnel and drained into the prisoner's body by a rubber tube. If prison doctors could not force open the prisoner's mouth, the rubber tube was inserted through the nose. Though many women tried to resist, members of staff constrained the prisoner during the procedure. In a letter to the Manchester Guardian, Sylvia Pankhurst, daughter of WSPU leader Emmeline Pankhurst, shared her experience.
I set my teeth like a vice, and my breath came so quickly that I thought I should suffocate. I felt a man's hand trying to force my mouth open, and trying to get his fingers between my lips. Presently, I felt a steel instrument being forced against my gums where I had 2 teeth out. I fought against it with all my strength, but, cutting its way into the flesh, it worked its way in. Then they turned a screw which gradually forced my jaws apart. Then they started to force the tube down my throat. I was scarcely conscious except that I was fighting, that my gums were aching, and that I felt I should go mad at the outrage of the thing. Presently they dragged out the tube. I was sick as it came up. It was quite a long time before I could breathe. They left me on the bed exhausted and shaken with sobs.
Force feedings could happen more than once a day. It did little in the way of providing hunger strikers with nutrition, as the violence of the operation could cause one to vomit. The opportunities for internal injury were great. The violation of the body placed suffragettes in victim roles through degradation and fear. Force feeding was highly controversial, and its brutality cast the prison system in an unfavorable light. Doctors expressed concern over the risks of this treatment. Medical journal Lancet wrote that force feeding constituted torture. In 1913, Parliament passed the Prisoners' Act, requiring the hunger-striking suffragettes to be placed on temporary medical leave until deemed well enough to be sent back to prison. Now, if women died while refusing food, the government could not be held legally responsible. The public nicknamed this bill the Cat and Mouse Act for the way the government seemed to chase and toy with its victims. Though the majority of charges leveled against suffragettes came with the option of paying a fine, most militants instead chose to spend time behind bars, sacrificing their freedom and health for electoral equality.